And welcome to Five Guys and You. It's Thursday Night Live, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. And we're all over the place. We're on Facebook, YouTube, as well as Twitter and Twitch. We're streaming live tonight. And I'm in Los Angeles right now at a remote, undisclosed location. If I tell you, then the FBI would know and they might come around and get nosy. So we don't want to do that. Thank you again for joining us. Don't forget to go ahead and like, share, and be a part of the discussion by participating in comments. We want to hear from you. All right? Great. Thank you. Thank you for listening tonight. Let me bring in the rest of the crew. Let's bring in the chocolate jock, chocolate
Hey,
yoga
folks.
himself,
Hey.
Francisco. Yeah, take off the glasses, man. You're looking too
I
cool.
have
How
to
you
give the
doing?
public what they want, my beautiful eyes. So,
Oh, well, you looking kind of tight. You got to open them up there a little bit. Like,
yeah, no, story of my life.
you, you're doing okay?
Oh, man, another day in paradise. All good.
I feel you, brother. Well, same here. It's good to be seen, right? And there's Chris Bass, Mr. Boom Shakalaka.
Nice, nice. How's everybody doing?
Good, man. We're rocking. You ready for this show?
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am. Okay.
Yeah.
And Mr. Dr. Ron. Ask
Yo,
Dr.
yo,
Ron if you don't know.
yo,
Yeah,
yo,
man.
yo, yo. In the house, y'all. Look, I got something different tonight. I got some good news from the south side of Chicago. I know that's rare, but I got it for y'all tonight.
Okay, well, hold on to your thoughts and we'll be right with you. And
Mhm.
here he is, the professor, the MD, the master blaster, the man himself, Professor Reggie Miles. How you
Again,
doing, bro?
well, again, my brothers, my colleagues, thank you so much. It is a delight that I'm here to share this time and this space with you on this glorious forum. Like and share, tell everybody what's about to happen because, again, we're about to enter into the realm of funk intelligence. I want my funk uncut and undone. As we look at today's events and then we wonder what is really going on. Because, as the late Jimi Hendrix once said, who knows? How's your funkin' teleky?
I'm speechless. I, I mean, listen, I've been doing this stuff for over 50 years, but Reggie, you just leave my mouth dry. I don't know what to say, man. So I'm done.
Yeah, listen, well, listen, yeah, listen. I tell you, look, I'm not. Listen, I just get up here and just rap. That's all. It's just rap.
That's right.
It's everyone's opinion, and I'm not afraid to tell mine. And if I don't know, I'm gonna tell you I don't know. But aha,
That that's not often that you don't know.
I know that's right.
That's why you are the professor. All right, so let's start the show out with some positive news. And Dr. Ron said he's got some good stuff from the South Side.
South side of Chicago. Now I know with all the things that's going on in the world, it's not very often you get any good press or good publicity coming out of the south side of Chicago. But on this week, we are celebrating the finally getting approval for the Obama Library going into Jackson Park, which is on the south side of Chicago. They are projecting, they had a big press conference. They're projecting that there's going to be 700,000 people coming to the south side of Chicago every year to visit this library. In the beginning, not many people that are probably outside of Chicago don't know this, that the locals in the area were fighting it because they felt like they were going to push out a lot of the people, and people were not going to get a chance to take advantage of the opportunities that were going to be presented with this library being built in the Jackson Park area. But it's going to be in the park. They're going to preserve as much of the park landscape as possible. They're going to be doing a lot of great things in order to be able to build up the area. They're talking about generating $3.1 billion of economic impact to the area. And that's usually something that's reserved for the north side or the downtown area. But with this project, they're going to be bringing in opportunities to folks that would not normally have opportunities. This park or this particular library is going to be 1 mile away from where Michelle Obama grew up at. So it's got a lot of positive pluses to the location that it's going into, and it's finally breaking ground. It's been funded. It's been a combination of state, private, and local funds that went in to help build this project up. So it's been a very positive report. And I know often we don't get a chance to hear too much positive coming from the south side of Chicago. So it brings my heart great pleasure to bring something positive about the south side of Chicago.
That's good news, man. But now, what is the projected date?
They're just now breaking ground. They have not said when it's going to be completed as of yet, but they're looking at. They don't say a projected date. They just said
Okay.
it's going to be starting to break ground.
Okay.
So it's going to take a while. They've been playing with this thing ever since and I do say playing with, because there was a lot of people that protested and objected, and now they finally got to the place where they're ready to break ground.
Well, it
So
generally takes a while for the presidential library to come into fruition because there's a lot of money involved and location and the build
mhm.
out. So I'm trying to flash back and think. I want to say maybe as much as 10 years. Could it take that long? Maybe five
Yes,
years.
yeah. Well, you figure he's been gone for the whole term of number 45, so
Right.
this might be on schedule, on
Yeah.
track.
Yeah.
As far as timelines go, but they do not have a
Projected
projected
date. Yeah.
date of when it, because they're still going to have issues, you know, um, with whatever little issues they come up with,
Hmm.
because people are going to fight it.
Well,
They're
I
going to
mean, what
fight it.
is there to fight? I mean, come on, let's get it
Well,
done.
okay. This is the issue for most of the people that are on the ground and what they've been complaining about. They've had every kind of committee come together and say, "Well, look, we don't want to just get pushed out and then have folks come in and take advantage of our communities, and we don't." As a matter of fact, your former employer was on one of the committees that were raising objections, to the area and the people that live in the area. That's Leon Finney, of course.
Hmm.
Because they felt like people that were in those communities that need to benefit from this type of endeavor coming in will probably get bought out, pushed aside, and they won't get a chance to take advantage of it. So that was some of the complaints from some of the people that were coming in there. They want everybody that's there now to be able to take advantage of this opportunity.
But
So
I mean, what is it that the community is asking for? I mean, it's a museum. It's a library slash museum.
Mm-hmm.
all of the things that he acquired while being the president, gifts and what have you. Typically, those are the kind of artifacts or whatever are displayed in that in documents and film. I'm sure there's some video and some audio stuff that will be in there because technology lends itself to that now.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, but what's the big deal? I mean, they've agreed on a location, so let's build a damn thing and get it done.
Well, I think it's still a warm and fuzzy, type thing of positivity, even though, no matter where you go and do anything, you're going to have some people that's going to object to, hey, the sun shine, coming up in the morning. Oh, no,
Yeah,
we can't have that,
I'm not ready for the sun. Let's wait
right.
another hour. Yeah.
The fact that they have appeased as many people as they can and have pushed the project forward. This is definitely going to be the location. This is definitely going to happen. And I see the professor got his church finger up. Go ahead on, professor.
Just one question.
Yes, sir.
Now, the library, is it going to be on the Washington Park side, or is it going to be on the University of Chicago side?
Well, they say it's in Jackson Park.
Is that the University of Chicago side?
I think it's more closer to the lakefront. Not sure.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
because I think the first issue with that was the U of C land.
Uh-huh.
And the UFC got a stronghold in that High Park area over there.
Yeah.
That's next and adjacent to Jackson Park. So if they're gonna push it over there, I mean I think between Stony, is it going to be between Stony Island and Jeffrey on that land in there? Because it's like, yeah, haven't been no houses up in there for years. And then I guess the closest remnants of houses is at 67th Street, Marquette Road, right? So it's gonna be somewhere between Marquette and 55th.
So according to this, they said the plan will provide more and better connected green space in Jackson Park by closing roadways, including Cornell Drive between Haynes Drive and 59th
Okay, yeah,
Street.
okay. That's from the cottage. That's like talking cottage.
And then replacing them with parks, paths that connect the new wide, well-lit underpasses that eliminate the need to cross roadways such as Haynes Drive when moving through the park, city officials say. So they're going to be moving some things around. It says operational improvements by adding lanes to Lakeshore Drive and Stony Island Avenue.
Okay. So it's in between that area. All right, I got that. I can see that.
Closing roads interiors to the park, starting with the south midway.
Pliance, that's up at 59th Street. Oh yeah, that's UFC territory. They was gonna have problems over there.
And providing spot improvements at existing bottlenecks.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not the university owned property.
No, they got away from it. They took it further east. But that's in their area. They're gonna protect that because to the north is High Park.
Right.
We're not getting nowhere over there. They did the bomb. They created the atomic bomb over in that area.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that it comes to fruition soon. Before I'm in a wheelchair and y'all have to roll me in the joint to see it. You know what I mean? Let's get it done, folks. So stop all the bickering and what have you, and let's get the first Black president's library built in Chicago. Period.
It's well on its way. They got the money, they've got the approval, the state.
Now,
city.
where's the funding coming from? Is this?
It's a combination. Yeah, it's a combination. They created an organization that raised funds to build this. A private sector. Land was donated by the city and the state because Park District land is owned by the state and is managed by the city. I remember when they tore up Meigs Field in the middle of the night. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Daly
did that.
Yeah, that was a a park district land that had an airport on it, and in the middle of the night he tore it down. You know,
Yep.
and it wasn't nothing they can do about it. The airport was gone then, so they pretty much have already decided what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Were there any projections on the economic impact? How many folk gonna get them jobs working at that center? Is there any projections on that? And who's going to be working in that spot?
Well, that was part of the negotiations. They wanted to make sure that they use local people.
Mm-hmm.
It says 3.1 billion of economic impact to that area.
Okay.
Wow, that's significant.
Yeah, you know, and it said it will bring over 700,000 people to the South Side every year.
Yeah, that's a lot of service industry jobs, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you figure local area stuff, you know, like you said, Hyde Park is not far away. If you get that far, then you're gonna eat in Hyde Park. If you're gonna, you're gonna be doing some things in different areas. You know, you'll get an opportunity to, venture into businesses on both sides. You know, Hyde Park, further south. You know, they're gonna be building around it. This is not gonna be the only thing in that area. You know, they might even build a casino over there. Ha ha ha. You know, they talked about it. You know, they talked about it at one time, trying to put the Southside Casino over there on the lakefront. You know, they got a whole tore down steel mill over there that they wanted to try to project as one of the sites for a casino. But of course, you know, the city of Chicago pushed back. They said they want just as much taxes as the state did. And we ain't heard nothing else about a casino in Chicago no more, you know.
So Pookie and Jerome they're gonna be put in check. It's gonna be a lot of people, a lot of policing over there in that Jackson Park area.
Well, they've done that already. You know, they've tried to clean up. They've tried to clean up. 79th Street ain't 79th Street like it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember the time you could ride down 79th Street and see girls in short dresses. Now, you ain't seeing that no more because they getting ready. They getting ready.
Cleaning it up,
for the library. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They cleaned up 63rd Street. They cleaned up all of that. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
They clean up the crime in Chicago, and then we'll
right. All right.
You know, and I'm not even going to bring up the fact that this 13-year-old was shot there in Chicago, and
they just released the video today.
Right. Yeah. I haven't seen it because I was out driving, but I heard it on the radio, and that's a sticky situation because apparently the kid did have a gun in his hand prior to getting shot, and then the family's lawyers come out saying that at the time that he was shot, at that moment, he did not have the gun in his hand,
and that's absolutely correct.
And
he had his hands up, empty. I won't watch the video, but I've already read about it. Adam Toledo is the young man's name. Was his name. He is the youngest person killed by Chicago police. So hooray for the library, but that's the real story in my opinion.
All right. When you say Chicago police, what kind of Chicago police was this? What was the
Seems like the murdering kind. That's all I know.
Oh, you mean? Was this person was a European or was this Asiatic or a black cop that shot this person?
I have no idea.
He was a white guy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
See, I got a conspiracy theory on that, but I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's an ongoing story and saga. You know, the kid was running, they cornered him. It was two of them. They had been shooting the gun, which drew the police to the area in the first place. And when they saw these two, they started running away from the police. And the kid threw the gun, according to videos, because I've watched all of them. According to the video, the kid had threw the gun away behind the fence. When the officer told him to raise his hands and stop, he was in the process of being compliant. And by the time he got his hands up in the air, he was shot and was dead. He got killed by one bullet, center mass in the chest.
Yeah, the kid looks like he was 90 pounds soaking wet, 13 years old. So if the cop is going to claim feared for his life, then this guy should have never been a police officer to begin with.
Amen.
Yeah.
There's
And
too many scary ass cops on the force all over the
too
country.
many.
They're
Too
pulling
many.
the trigger too quickly. And my question is, apparently this has been going on all along. Now the cameras are showing it.
Right.
The body cams, the surveillance cams, the cell phone cams. So, hey, police officers, just exhale for a minute.
It's a matter of public
Stop.
record.
Yeah.
It's a matter of public record. There's a Department of Justice report on the Chicago Police Department. You cats need to check it out. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave it right there. And you talk about documented corruption. It's a DOJ report on that of the what they call that, of the undercurrent or the undercurrent culture of what the police in this city do. They did it's a report on that, man. I'm sure.
Yeah.
You
And
gotta check it out.
this story got worse and worse. First of all, the kid was missing. The family reported him missing. Then he came home. Then they did not file a missing persons report, but he laid in the morgue for 2-3 days before the family even discovered that he was dead.
So did they have trouble identifying the kid? Is that why they didn't notify the
What
family?
happened was the person that was arrested with him
The
gave a
20-year-old,
bogus
right?
name. Yeah, the 24-year-old gave
24.
a bogus name.
Oh.
And so they didn't know how to identify the 13-year-old young man. They just put him in there and didn't know who he was. And then after they finally realized that this was the missing 13-year-old, the family went down and identified him. So today was the first day. The family saw the video yesterday, and today they released it through the press. At the current time, they're trying to keep down, as much violence as possible, throughout the South Side and all through the city, especially downtown. They don't want people to, just blow up, if you got
Seems
something
like
to
every
say,
day, man, there's another mass shooting, a cop shooting, somebody else shooting somebody. I mean, it's just, what the hell is wrong with this society, man? It's just, it's
But see, here's the thing. But see, here's the thing. People have to understand as well. Intellectual honesty when it comes to your children. Now, think, if you will, the picture. Most parents know that their children are knuckleheads. If they know that their child is an arch criminal, if they know their child sneaks out in the middle of the night and does God knows what, and breaks some stuff back, whatever, they know. But you turn the blind eye at times. Not being a responsible parent, but you turn the blind eye of your responsibility. It goes back to Judge Greg Mathis when he wrote his first book. When he talked about how much he was knucklehead growing up in, Detroit. So he tells the story. He's 13 years old. The cops come to his house, knock on the door. Excuse me, ma'am. We've had a robbery of a 4-block radius. Do you know anything about it? Hold on one second. Grabs a 13-year-old Greg Mathis. Here, take him. Either he did it or he knows who did it. Those type of parents are not around anymore to a degree. To some degree they are, at a lot of degrees they're not. And when you hear stories like that, you have to understand that some of these people are embarrassed to come forward and say, you know what, my child was out there doing drugs. It was a gang initiation and things of that nature. So those conversations have to happen because it's what's here. It's what's real. And once again, I can say about being embarrassed. Who wants to end up and say, look, my child's a no-good son of a bitch? Who wants to say that? But if you know from day one how your child acts and how he or she comport themselves, talking back to you, stealing from you and the family and everybody else, when you hear bad news, that was coming up down the road. So of course, you have to change the narrative because you don't want everything to come out about the child and about the parents or parent being neglected. And not only that, if you're trying to sue the police department, let's get our act together, our story together before we go out in the public. So we have no comment right now. That's, as my dad used to say, get your lie right. You get your lie right. You got the script, got the storyline. Then we'll come forward and try to sue the city. And that's going to be the ultimate prize here. But first and foremost, a child is now gone. First and foremost. But we have to be honest about everybody involved.
I agree.
So I'm trying to understand what the ultimate point that was about. So what was that saying, that somehow this child deserved to be killed because he might have been doing shady things?
Didn't say that. No, I said
I'm trying to understand what you're trying to say.
Okay. Let me tell you what I'm trying to say. And I say it again. I'll say it again. Honesty around the board, whether it's the child, whether it's the responsibility of the parent, whether it's the police officers involved. Everybody has to be honest. Now, I'm not saying not going to happen, but we have to call all responsibility on what's around here.
Okay.
You know,
I'm sorry I didn't get through to you, but I did the best I could.
The discussion brings up.
I know that look already.
A lot of it provokes a lot of thought, and I think I hear where you're coming from, Chris. And as a parent, I look at it from a parent responsibility. Why was my child out in the streets involved with possibly, allegedly, firing off a weapon, number one? So as a parent, I have a responsibility, an obligation to know what my child is doing.
That's all I'm saying. Tell him. I think I was trying to make my point, but yeah, tell him.
It's not that I don't understand your point, Chris. I just don't agree with it. So I'm not a stupid person generally, and I appreciate you clarifying it. But I still don't know ultimately what everyone is trying to say about putting the onus on parents. What is the point to that?
Well, the point is we have an obligation and responsibility to know what the hell our kids are doing out in the streets.
Sure, that's fairly standard. Yep.
Yeah, my parents knew what I was doing, and if they found out I was doing something wrong, I had to pay for it.
Okay,
on the way home, if I was out in the park doing some stupid stuff, before I got home, one or two neighbors had already notified Miss Edith, my mama's name, and Mr. George, my dad. They knew before I got home that I was out there clowning, and somebody was waiting for me on the front porch. So, okay, boy, come on, what you been doing? Where you been? There was a whole line of questions that I had to respond to, and I don't think that modern day parents are doing the same thing. Not all, some. I'll say some. Okay. Maybe even most.
So if that's true, how does that contribute to what the police are doing?
It's two different issues. Now, I think what we're trying to do is to look at all of the different elements involved in situations that happen like this. There's no question that cop, in my opinion, reacted too quickly. Out of what? Fear? Out of just being mad? Out of what was motivating him? What motivated him to fire off his weapon at a 13-year-old child? Now, he could say, well, I don't know that it's a child, but the picture that I saw of this child, there's no question. I don't know if that was a picture from when he was 8 years old or what his statue is today, how big he was or how small he was. But the fact of the matter is there's a 13-year-old child dead at the hands of a police officer. So the police officer, in my opinion, has a responsibility to know what he or she is doing. And we can even connect this to the fact of the female cop up there in Minnesota that shot and killed. And she thought she was tasing. She said, taser, taser, taser. How in the hell don't you know the difference? You've been on the force for 26 damn years, and you don't know the difference between a Glock and a taser? First of
And
all, the
she's a
weight.
trainer.
Yeah, and she was training a rookie. So you're telling me that the difference, if nothing else, the weight of those two firearms, weapons, got to feel different. They got to. So why did she make that mistake? And I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she did make a mistake. I find it hard to
I'm
believe.
not willing to give her the benefit of the doubt.
I mean,
I'm not willing to give anybody in that situation the benefit of the doubt, because we've seen this too often.
I agree.
It's a crazy situation, and frankly, I don't ever conflate the two subjects of police and parents. I'm glad you pointed out that it was two subjects, because it didn't sound like it before.
No, yeah,
So
definitely.
we
more
need,
than
you know, because we can't go from a police shot someone to maybe his parents did the wrong thing. That, in my mind.
No,
Okay,
I don't think anyone was saying that, but
it was
when you look,
sounding like that
yeah,
to me.
yeah, yeah.
So the thing is that, you know, we have too many of these situations.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you just
I
look
agree.
at the last 10 years or even the last 5 years,
The last
there's just
10 months.
incident after incident after incident, and it doesn't matter who the victim is. It doesn't matter what the victim was doing. Some of these victims actually called the police themselves to be helped by the police, and wound
Yeah,
up being
and the
shot
victim.
by the
Yeah.
very police that they called.
Or sleeping in your own bed.
And yes, some were adults, some were children. Tamir Rice was 12. What I mean, we have my focus is on the police. The conversation about parenting in America, that's a whole nother conversation, but I don't think the two go hand in hand at all.
I think as a society and as a community, we have to examine all of the elements involved.
Agreed.
You know, whether it's a church, your community group, if there is any involved anymore, whether it's the NAACP, the Urban League, or whatever kind of groups are out there that are still alive and active. Your neighborhood, your street, your block. We have to become more active and save our children, save our grandchildren. I have grandchildren now. I've got 4 granddaughters from the ages of 4 all the way up to 19. And I think every day, are they okay? As a parent, as a grandparent, you know, to make sure that my children are okay. Go ahead, Professor.
So I want to ask to the gentleman, to all the colleagues, when do we give the speech of how to act or how to respond when you are confronted with a situation with a police person? You know, because my dad told me, my dad let me know how to act and how to respond when I was presented or whenever I was in a circumstance where I'm dealing with police, because my dad always told me anytime, and my uncle always told me that anytime that you're confronted or you get yourself in a situation where the police is around, you can be killed. You can lose your life. And that's not something that's something that's been going on with us for decades. I mean, it's the slave catching days. And in order for this to get balanced again, I guess we have to have a better relationship with the children, men, as to tell them, look, you got to be careful. You can't be doing this, because if the police respond and you black, that's just a reality. That's a reality for us. And until we revolt and say, hey, no more of this, it's going to continue to happen. It's going to continue to happen. And it reminds me of the song from Willie Hutch in the movie The Mac. The brothers got to work it out. We have to work this out, and police, they're going to do their job and things like that. But my uncle told me, he said the name of the game is not what's my line, it's you asked for it. That's what he told me. And, you can't get out here and do things. A lot of young people, and I'm not saying this about this young man or any young man, but it's a lot of young people, and this is going to what Chris is saying, that they're out here and they're not seeing any consequences for what they do or how they're acting. And I agree with you, Yoda. You shouldn't die on account of that. But listen now, we got to have some enlightenment with our own babies if they're to survive.
And it's a shame that your uncle and your dad, as did my family members as well. My dad died when I was 13, and we used to have conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't recall him telling me about the cops. He had a lot of little wise sayings that I use today, and I remember. But I don't remember a conversation with my dad about how to act or react to if I was ever confronted by a cop. Other family members did, but my dad.
Let me give you another, what is a metaphor musically. Mm-hmm. There is a piece of jazz music called bebop. Bebop came from the fact of black men getting beat upside, bop, 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 upside the head by a policeman with the stick. So this is always, this, and that ain't the first time. It was something that was happening before them. But the jazz men picked that up, and they made a style of music called bebop that was depicting how people was getting beat upside the head by the police. So it's done evolved from beating us upside the head to just literally shooting us down. Both men and women.
And
brothers, when we gonna work it out?
Yeah.
Well, look, let me jump in here and say this. This is a very passionate topic. And since we are embracing this topic right now, I think it's only wisdom that we offer some wisdom. If you are a black person and you are riding anywhere in the world, I'm going to say the world, and you are being approached by anybody law enforcement, my best suggestion to you would be to turn on your interior lights and put both of your hands up in the air. Okay? That will help alleviate some of the fear and intimidation that person may have approaching your vehicle. Okay? Put your hands where they can see them. If you plan on moving your hands, inform them, I am reaching into my pocket for my driver's license.
That didn't work for Philando Castillo.
And it's a lot of people that it didn't work for. But I'm saying is,
let's keep teaching it.
That's what I'm doing. Okay,
yeah, let's just
we can't
but
stop.
Again, we are putting the responsibility of the interaction on the victim.
Well,
we are just informing. We just informing people because that's what we do. We are an information opportunity. So I'm saying if you don't have an uncle or a daddy or somebody that can tell you this can very real turn bad, let's do what we can to try and help you. Because I don't think it's anybody on the panel that has not been approached by a cop. And the first thing you think about is like, how am I gonna get out of this alive?
Right.
Okay. So that's a very real thought. Okay. Right. And you ain't gotta do nothing crazy or stupid, or these people just they come with an intimidation and a fear factor. Cops have been told that the most dangerous situation you can be in is a traffic stop. Okay, they have been programmed to think this is the most dangerous situation they could ever be in.
That's not ultimately what they've been taught. Although they have been taught that, but ultimately, and this is the real reality of the situation, what they've been taught is the most dangerous situation is a black and brown face.
Yeah.
That's the reality of what's going on.
That's an underlying gut fear that most cops have.
Yes.
And how do we bridge that? And I mean, you can talk about more training, and I've heard a number of talking heads on TV talking about, like this 26-year veteran that just fired off her taser that ended up being a Glock. That how could she not know? How much more training does a police officer need? And you've been on a force for 26 years. Now, we can ask the question, maybe that police department was not well funded for the proper training, possibly. And, and I'm just throwing out possibilities. We don't know, at least I've not heard what kind of training they've been given to these police officers in that particular police department. Not all police departments are created equal as relates to funding and the type of training that they've received. So if that particular police department had not trained to the level that this police officer needed, then she shouldn't be out there teaching a rookie what to do, because obviously she screwed up. There ain't no other way of looking at that. If you don't know the difference between a Glock
giving a
and
lot
a
of
taser,
latitude
you don't need to be
to the
a police
officer. That's we're still assuming that it was a mistake.
Well, no,
I'm not going to.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it was a mistake. I'm saying that's what she said.
Right.
She said
so then let's take it in another direction, because I get the training part, but how do you train a racist not to be a racist? How do you train a murderer with a license to kill not to kill at will?
Well, I mean,
I
hear your point
on that one. You got me on that one, but
what you just said is based on what we see, and what we see is through video after video after video. So it's very easy to come to the conclusion that these people are scared, not well trained, racist, just bad cops. I mean, you can.
So the system is wrong. The system is the problem, because if you have a system that keeps producing the same results, then the system is indicted. And you have a system where you give someone a weapon, you give them less training than what it takes to be a hairdresser, and you give them the power of judge, jury, and executioner. That's the system. And then outside of that system is the system of racism in America. That's what has to be addressed. The paradigm of policing in America is fundamentally flawed. And we can look at so many other countries that are developed countries that have a completely different outcome when it comes to policing, that have a completely different outcome when it comes to death by gun, that have a completely different outcome when it comes to their prison system. It's all tied together. It's one big system that's churning out the same results year after year after year. Black bodies in the street and black bodies behind bars. That's the system that has to be changed. Not parenting, not how to act when you're confronted by police. We got to change the police.
Wait a minute. Now, I mean, see, y'all done got me in a position where I want to start cussing. And I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stay cool. Because one thing, we don't run nothing but our mouths. In order, we need to read Otis Wilson's book. You understand? We need to understand how the Irish came into being and then took over the police, made sure that they had control of policing. Then we can start talking about what the change is going to be. Once we come together as a unit ourselves, then we start putting our own people in there to do the policing. Man, Master, please, would you help us? Would you let us be better in our own communities? Look, nigga, you can't be. Oh, look, brother, you can't be talking like that.
So now I'm a very solution-oriented person. In all my professional career, I always look for solutions. So let's dig into that. Now I know we got some other subjects to dig into tonight, but this one we have to, I think, lay into it for a minute. So each of us, let's come up with at least one solution to this problem. Now, Francisco, you said the system is broken; it needs to be fixed. Where do we start?
Where we start is a reorientation to how policing works. It's been referred to as defunding the police, but that's a terrible moniker. But the concept behind it is solid. So, for instance, Camden, New Jersey, back in 2012, they defunded the police, and Camden was a real hot spot.
It was terrible.
Yeah. And what they did was essentially fire all the police and make them reapply with new criteria. And there was no vacuum. They didn't just let people do whatever they wanted during that time. But the long story short is murders went down a shocking amount. I think it was 70%. Violent crime went down. And I might have those numbers wrong. I haven't looked at it recently, but it was a shocking number in terms of the reduction in crime overall. Because right now, think about it. If a cat is stuck in a tree, you're dialing 911 for that, and they might send police to handle that. That's wrong. That's a misapplication of what they're there for. But aside from that, aside from defunding the police and putting those funds toward economic development, because that reduces crime, you also have to switch you have to change radically the paradigm of policing itself. The idea of allowing someone or imbuing someone with the power of judge, jury, and executioner with no due process is insanity. So those are two of the main places that I would start.
Chris, what are your thoughts on solution to the crime in the streets, the police violence against the members of our community? What do you see as a solution?
Well, another solution, as I see it, I can't touch the police, but I can touch my daughter. I can touch my child. We said earlier about the tactics of doing your best in a horrific situation, get pulled over for a traffic thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you always hear about the term of cops saying the following, but it should be Black people and brown people. I fear for my life in that situation. I can tell my nephew or my daughters or whoever about doing the best they can to survive in a racist world. My heart goes out to the family of Dante Wright and others, and the countless names that we keep on bringing lists about, and also the people that we don't know about of an ongoing list. Back in the day, and even now, you said before about, telling the officer, if you get pulled over, I'm going to my wallet. I understand what happened to Fernando Castile. That was horrific. But we were trying to tell our people how to survive. Mm-hmm. The best way we know how. And until we come to some sort of real power, not fake power from our so-called leaders, but real power, it comes with economics and coming to the table and being taken seriously. We have no say-so, but we do have say-so within ourselves and our family and our friends to do the best we can to just survive.
Dr. Ron.
Yeah, and I yield my time to anybody else coming up next.
Okay. Dr. Ron, what are your thoughts on solution to the violence in our communities that we've seen too much of it lately from cops? And we've also got to look at non-cop violence because there's a lot of that as well. So what's the solution or solutions?
Well, first of all, the incident that Chocolate Yoda spoke about, I did see a documentary on that in Camden. I remember how they brought in a black police chief, and they started making people not ride in cars but walk beats. They got to know people's names in the community. They became personally involved with the people in their community, which was part of the formula of the police working, not just bringing folks from outside of your community in to police your community, but people from your community policing your community. You know, that is part of that equation that made that a very big success story. And it can be spread. I think I mentioned this about a month or so ago when we were talking about another tragic situation. You know, we need to be able to have, like, just think about it. Back in the early American days, you know, when they appointed Indians to be reservation police, and they treated themselves much better than the soldiers treated them. The soldiers treated them unjustly, accused them of things, you know, that could not be proven, but they treated them like dogs and animals. So when they started, you know, instituting their own reservation police, then the system of law and order changed for the better. So I'm kind of in agreement with, we need to start by getting a uniform situation where we can have us patrolling and protecting us instead of turning us into victims more often than not. You know, we have an opportunity to speak these things, and I think that it was mentioned maybe a few months ago that we got over a couple of thousand police departments in the United States, and none of them have the same uniform methods of operation. We need a uniform method of operation, you know, and as we, you know, move towards something like that, I think we will find out that that will work better for our communities, you know, because we're not going to treat ourselves bad all the time. Now, we might have some bad folks in that bunch too, but I think that as we move towards that, that would be a even playing field. That would be a balancing of the injustice that goes on. We don't have justice in our community. You know, when folks see us, you know, we're just guilty. We did it. We did something, no matter what it is. We did something. And we, you know, whether we get you with what you did last time, we're gonna make you guilty of what we got you for now. And that's the wrong way to approach trying to balance out what's going on in the United States. And I'm gonna say worldwide, you know, because it's, you know, everywhere that you find Europeans, they brought in their way of mistreating us, you know, and they continue to mistreat us based on what their belief system is, you know. So I think that, you know, as we were saying, not unfund the justice system, but like, you know, Yoda said, you know, you call the police to get a cat out of a tree, or you call the police for a young person that's having a mental issue, they should have a different department to call. We got a kid that's walking down the street butt naked, and he must be high on something. The police don't need to respond to that. An ambulance needs to come for that. you know, and to get this young person under control and into a safe place. You don't have to shoot him dead because he walked around butt naked in the street, you know, and that has happened so many times. You know, they don't handle every situation. They handle every situation the same. And I think it was pointed out on this show a little while back. You know, police do not stop criminal activity. They investigate criminal activity. Okay. So they're not equipped in a whole lot of different ways. But I'm telling you, if we've got our own people in our own communities doing what we need for us, then we're more than likely able to police ourselves better than what they can police us.
Professor.
I'm happy you guys. I'm agreeing with everybody saying, you know, my suggestion is Dr. Amos Wilson, you know, read and check out some of his stuff, because he spoke about how other ethnic groups came to power and they made change through the control. When they took over certain institutions, then they made changes. You know, we got this issue with the police then, or with the police departments and all that stuff. Then we need to find ways to take them over, just like you said, Dr. Ron, so we can start taking care of policing our own. You know, I mean, that's for me. I wouldn't want no Caucasian in my area policing my people, you know, because they are not going to make the decision that some of the people of my own persuasion will do, you know, in regards to what's happening in my community. And then if the person in my community messes up, he gonna get tarred and feathered like that if he don't get nobody no break. But it all, to me, comes down to taking control and having political power to take control of the police departments. The police departments in Chicago was run by the Irish. You know, and that was happening. And so we gotta start thinking on that level. If we're trying to do some things in our areas and in our neighborhoods, you know, we got to get control in these municipalities. And then see, plus there are many underlying things that go on within these police departments. You know, some of these guys get promoted because they kill an African-American person. And, you know, it's a lot of little blue book things that the European, the white cops, they have, that they benefit by that. And they got this code of silence and stuff, whereas a black cop couldn't tell on none of this kind of stuff. And this stuff is going on. So the only way to eradicate whatever the present system is to move who's ever in there out. Move them out, and then, I mean, who's to say that we won't have no black leaders or no black cops doing crazy things just like these other cops is doing? But we won't know until we get into those positions. So I think the first thing that we should do is get power within the police departments.
So, Professor, I heard you make a statement, and it made me think. It kind of stimulated my brain. You said you would like to see police officers that look like you in your neighborhood policing the situation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, okay, and I understand what you're saying, and there's what that is a comfort level that from your own liking, people that look like you, think like you, that could work in some cases. Some cases it still may not work.
I mean, and I said that, and the only reason why I said that, you know, is because then I'll know I won't have to worry about the majority of the time a Caucasian policeman doing something crazy like that.
Mm-hmm. Because and see, and that in itself is a big problem, because what you're talking about is trust.
Right.
You know, you don't trust somebody that doesn't look like you, and that in itself is a problem. You know, because America, we don't all look the same. You know, and in most countries, unless you're living in a real remote area.
Let me
So
let me
we
say
need to
this,
work
Lee.
on the trust thing and
Let me say this,
education.
Lee.
Mhm.
That boy in South Carolina, that young man in South Carolina, went into that church and killed 9 people, and they took him to get something to eat.
Yep, with the Burger King, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Okay, well, let me have my own people make that decision to do something for me when I go crazy like that. When you talk about justice and
Yeah,
fairness,
yeah.
and the only people that's gonna do that for me is people that's like me. I don't care what kind of rules and regulations or what kind of standards you put on there. If that person is not like you, he not gonna like you.
Now, let me ask a question, and I think I know the answer to this. In the George Floyd murder, wasn't there at least one black cop at the scene of that crime?
Probably so, but it's because of that blue thing, that uniform thing. A cat can't speak out. He'll be
Okay,
albatross.
okay. So, and there lies a part
The
of the
big
big
problem.
problem. Yeah, if there was a black cop there with any kind of authority, if you will, maybe it's a rank thing. I don't know, but if we're going to bridge this gap, there has to be an opportunity for a black cop to step up and say, "Hey, okay, hey guys, let's pull back here.
That's right. That's
Let's
right.
approach this thing a little differently." One of the things that I learned as a operations manager, program director, general manager in the broadcast business is you have to approach each one of your air personalities or anybody in the station for that matter a little differently because one approach does not always work. And my air staff, I looked at them as my children. And each one of my children had a different personality. And I had to develop a skill to know how to approach each one of them differently. Some of them I could call on the phone while they're on the air, and I could say, "Hey, man, that was a bad break. You should have, done it this way," and it wouldn't have rattled their cage. On the other hand, the next personality, if I did that, their show would go to hell. So you won't know that how to deal with a person until you have had a little time analyzing the situation. This kid that's 13 years old is dead today. That cop did not analyze the situation long enough, and that's why that child is dead. Okay, he didn't. He reacted too quickly. Now,
I got
the cop is gonna say, "I saw a gun. I pissed in my pants. I'm scared to death because this kid's got a gun, or this person. Maybe he didn't know whether it was a child or not." But that person had a gun. So that means I need to protect myself and use deadly force.
Listen, I got a conspiracy
Because
theory
because
right now.
that's what they're trained to do.
I got a conspiracy theory right now from the book of policing, or so to speak, in
Okay.
Chicago. Okay, it's like when and I don't know about this officer, but I'm just saying I'm gonna deal with this Laquan McDonald thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that boy got shot 16 times, and so it was one thing as far as how policemen go up for promotion. You understand? And so when you're getting ready to go up for promotion, it's like an initiation type thing. You have to go out there and do something really horrific. Why would a police officer shoot a man 16 times? Unless he's trying to meet some type of underlying criteria that their little secret society is going. How is that justifiable?
That
Okay.
appeared to have been target practice.
Yeah. So okay, to now
Because it
you
was
up.
more than one shooter.
Well, no, it was just one.
Oh, I thought it was more than one
No,
cop that fired
sir,
off.
it was one. And the 4 people that was around was gonna be, if this cat got promoted or whatever, they was gonna end up being sergeants.
Mm.
So I'm hearing stories that when
We
these
should all
cats
been fired.
when these cats getting ready to go up for promotion and stuff, it's like a gang initiation. When you trying to get in the gang, they tell you to go out and do something stupid. And so this is the kind of stuff that's got to be found and rooted out. And the only way that's going to be found and rooted out is that another culture has to come in and take that power from them.
The good cops have to step up
if they're going to do
turn
that
on the bad cops.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the only way you're gonna destroy or eradicate this system. Okay. Because there are some bad cops, and probably most, if not all, of the police departments around the country. And the good cops know who they are. They know who the bad ones are. But they're afraid to say anything, obviously.
Right. That's right.
Because
it doesn't matter if they're good cops if the system is bad.
But that is the system.
Because the good cops are not preventing anything right now.
Well, of course, but that's what we're saying. That has to start with them.
If you're a dog and you lay down with a dog with fleas, you get up with fleas. But I hate to agree with the professor and his conspiracy theory, but you know that cop that shot that boy 6 times in the back up in Kenosha, Wisconsin, went back on duty today, right? Okay.
No, I hadn't heard that. But
man, he went back on duty today. He didn't get fired. He shot that boy 6 times in the back, and he went back on duty today.
That's because the boy had a gun and he was pointing back at him, right?
Look,
but
like I said,
you don't need a conspiracy to see what's going on here. Although I don't dismiss conspiracies, because we know that America has a long history of conspiracies. But how about this? How about if we just let our imaginations wander a little bit and just kind of throw out the idea that maybe once in a while an officer wakes up and says, you know what, I'm going to kill somebody today. We don't think that's possible. We don't think that with hundreds of thousands of police officers in America that there are some that are just not quite right, and they're using their position of power in the most egregious way possible and just feel like killing somebody. I think that's a real possibility.
I don't discount that as a possibility, because there's some sick, twisted humans in this world, and sometimes people just flip out and they do crazy stuff for whatever the reason is, because they want to, because they can, because they're racist, because they're. I mean, it's 1,000.
Because they're given the power of life and death over other human beings.
Yeah.
And absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Absolutely.
And to go back to the Laquan McDonald case real quick, as Professor Miles just mentioned, when I was watching it, talk about special treatment, as we know, when it comes to police officers. So there's former Officer Van Dyke there, in the courtroom. They give him the sentence. And, traditionally they'll come, and lock you up, put the chains, handcuffs behind your back. He put his handcuffs behind his back with no handcuffs. None. And just sauntered out of the courtroom. And again, when you're in a system like that, and we all agree it's been thoroughly infiltrated with racism, that's obvious. Even Ray Charles, the state he's in right now, can see that. You're talking about going up against 400 plus years of a system that is beyond corrupt, a system that has made a deal with Satan himself, or herself, depending on your definition of Satan. It's a matter of where do we go as people? We can learn from other races if we have to. We said earlier in the conversation about how other races deal with rising to power and things of that nature. We have to have this dialogue across the board. We had to have all types of ideas and thoughts and solutions, because if we don't talk to each other, who do we talk to? If we don't try to come up with a solution, then we'll keep on just having these problems over and over again. Mm-hmm. And as we all know, there's a way to promote from within or make change from within. Going back to what you said, Reggie. So the dialogue we're all having is layers upon layers of wisdom, experience, observations, opinions. And that can go somewhere. It's a start. It's better than goddamn nothing. So I think that if we just take the approach, it's just one of my humble opinions, honestly, if we take the approach of having these ideas, you don't have to talk to a group of people. It could be two people. You don't think two or one person can affect goddamn change? Yes, they could.
Well,
It's got to start from somewhere.
Yeah, it's a start. And that's the thing. We've got to start. And hopefully it'll gain some momentum and others will follow. Hopefully. It's heartbreaking. And I don't want to turn the news on anymore. You know, I wake up in the morning or up late at night, in the middle of the night, they've got breaking news of some horrific story. You know, mass shooting, cops killing, some horrific car accidents. I'm here in LA, and today on the 405 northbound, there was a 4-car accident. And I was en route to doing my business, and it delayed me by 18 minutes. I mean, I don't know if anybody was badly injured, but there was someone was injured because they were looking after that person. But it's just stuff that's happening every day, man. It's just overwhelming. And then, in the middle of a pandemic, I don't know if that has anything to do with, people just going to another level of crazy. But please, folks, find some relief and get yourself together, because it's out of control. And this police stuff is, I don't know what the solution is, except that it has to change. And I heard several good points here tonight about, what we should do with the policing situation. And maybe we need to go back to the old days of having cops walk in the beat, and that cop by first name or by last name. Hey, Mr. Jones or Officer Jones. I remember growing up in Norfolk, Virginia, there were cops that we knew by name. And there were some tough cops that you didn't play with. Officer Rambo, and I think I've told his story before. And he was a tough guy. He didn't take no crap. But then there were other guys that, they were friendly. They would come into the neighborhood grocery store or, restaurant or the bar and walk around and say hello to people and shake hands and high five or whatever. But we didn't fear that guy. Okay, the fear level, that intimidation, that fear, and that's what I'm most concerned about. And if you happen to be a person that doesn't look like me, and you wear that badge and you got the gun on and the chest protector and all of that stuff, it's intimidating to a lot of people. So that possibility of having a human relationship, I'll call it, it's tough. It's tough. And we've seen an Asian cop shoot a black man. We've seen a white woman shoot a black person. We've seen a white cop shoot a Latina, 13-year-old Latino. So, and what was it just recently with the lieutenant? Wasn't one of the officers Hispanic of some kind? And so it's not just a black, white. It's a human problem. Okay, it's a human problem, and what I see is certain people that get that badge and that gun and that level of I can do whatever I want to do because I'm a cop and you're not. That's what I'm afraid of. And that's what we've got to change. And the only way to change that, in my opinion, is within the police departments. And we got to root out the bad cops and let's start with some fresh people that come in that want to be good cops and protect and serve the community that they work in. And maybe if you're in a high ethnic neighborhood, maybe all the cops need to be of that persuasion, and maybe they need to live in that community. Now, I know that's a tough one. I mean, it's like teachers. You need to live in a certain district to be a teacher in that school. Same thing with cops. Maybe you shouldn't live out in the suburbs and police in the city.
You, you know,
I'm just throwing the ideas out there.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, I got to tell this funny story, right? And you're talking about equal opportunity policing. Since you brought that up, Lee, you know that it's a human thing. You know, there was some legendary detectives in Chicago, right? And two of them was named Buckskin, and the other one's name was Crow. And if you was like caught up really being a bad boy and this, that, and other, you know, they would take a brother and drop him off in Canaryville in Chicago. Cats thought they was tough doing bad stuff in the neighborhood. They look, hey, we got something for you. They take you over there and drop you off on 35th and Shields or 35th and Low somewhere. I mean 31st and Low somewhere. You had to get to the viaduct, and if they saw you, they was gonna get you. You know, if the Caucasians saw you, they was gonna get you. And so even the
wait a minute, wait, Professor, and because we have people that don't live in Chicago, tell us what that neighborhood is composed of.
Canaryville, I think it's like from like 26 to like maybe about 35th Street. No, about 42nd Street, between like I would say Shields and a little bit past Halsted, maybe Morgan. But this was predominantly white. And
that's South Side, right?
South Side, yeah. I
mean, was that an Italian community or
Italian, Irish, yeah. You know, because the Greeks were up north. But all the bad dudes in Chicago, right? If you got caught up, and these detectives, I mean, you wasn't whatever it was, they would take you and drop you off dead in them neighborhoods, and the white cops would take you. But the only difference with the white cops is that they would call people and let them know that they was bringing you over there, so you couldn't get out, so you couldn't escape. But you understand, they would push you out, and the Buckskin and Crow would make it so you could at least, if you could run fast enough, you could get. You had to get to that viaduct.
You had to cross the viaduct.
Yeah, you had to get to that viaduct, because once you got to that viaduct, you could get it, man.
You get across the railroad tracks, you were safe.
You were safe, man.
You know, but you know, the legacy of cops being ignorant and stupid goes all the way back. You know, they had Two Gun Pete.
Yes, sir.
Walk in the bar and slap you upside the head.
Yes, sir.
And drag you out of there and down to the police station and beat you some more. But you know, it's time out for all of that.
That's right.
What we saying. We got to, you know, raise the banner to make a change. You know, and I think we will do a better job of policing ourselves than any other race of people can do. Just like history has predicted that. You know, we got history to back that up. The indigenous people policed themselves on their own reservations, okay? And they treated themselves with respect and fairness, better than any European soldier ever treated them, okay? Because Indian reservations was federal land. So, you know, if people are listening and paying attention, they need to make those type of policy adjustments and changes first.
Absolutely.
You know, we got to start somewhere, and until people start making a change, keep your hands up and turn the damn lights on in the car so people can see what the hell is going on.
That's right.
All right. I know we got some other topics to get to, and we've kind of lingered on this one for the entire show. Let's see. Was that your topic?
But no, I didn't put up a topic this week.
Yeah, okay. Whose topic was that? That was Ron's? Whose topic? I think we just kind of morphed into it.
Yeah, Chris had one. Yeah.
Chris, what you got?
Yeah. And as Dr. Ron just said, yeah, you morphed into it, the whole thing about Kim Potter and things of that nature. So just to give, of course, the update for people who may not be familiar with her. So, of course, she was arrested, facing second-degree manslaughter charges in the shooting death of Dante Wright. Carries a penalty up to 10 years imprisonment, could result up to $20,000 fine. There was a couple of quotes that I was looking at during the week, and I want to share this with everybody. The first quote was, "You keep hearing this cancel culture stuff, but you know we're canceling Black lives." That quote came from Glenn Doc Rivers, head coach of Philadelphia 76ers. And that was, of course, when we found out this whole thing of the murder of Dante Wright, that all the teams in Minnesota decided to postpone their games, but you have to applaud them for. The Minnesota Twins, Timberwolves, and the Wild, the MLB, NBA, and NHL have all canceled their games during that time in the wake of the shooting. Also, when you look at the landscape of this whole thing that went down, unfortunately, with the shooting, and then, of course, the irony of the whole thing, not too far in the suburb, you have the Derek Chauvin case going on there in Minneapolis. People are looking at this, I would assume, and say, why should we trust the police? And as we know now, the prosecution and defense rest the case. Closing arguments in the Chauvin trial will be Monday, April 19th. Between the Derek Chauvin trial and what Kim Potter did, I'm telling you, as I always say about the fix being in, well, it's already in. Mm-hmm. Because when you look at her, remember, she couldn't tell the difference between, the taser and the Glock, the sidearm, yelling taser. You could yell taser all you want to. You knew which one you were going to. Plus, again, going back to what we said earlier in the conversation, we don't know what kind of training they actually did or people being qualified. You could be a 26-year veteran in the police department and still don't know a damn thing. And this is also someone who's also the representative of the local union for police officers as well. When you break down all of this, people are tired of falling for the banana in the tailpipe. The more banana in the tailpipe, we're tired of it. Go back to what we said about technology, obviously, and people having cell phones, 24-hour news cycles. It's just not going to fly. And I said earlier in the conversation about the names that we're not familiar with that have died in the hands of racist white cops. Think about that. The names we're not familiar with, the names over the centuries that don't even know who they are. Don't even know where their graves are. Don't even know if they had a proper burial, or some just go MIA and missing. And then we look at all this complying with the parallel of the Derek Chauvin trial. It's not going to look good. The second quote I want to show everybody was, everybody keeps saying justice, but unfortunately, there's no justice for us. That quote came from Katie Wright, Dante Wright's mother. No justice for us. Never was, never will be. And going back to what we said about change, it has to start from somewhere. And if we look at this situation, let's go back to the Chauvin trial. There's a hung jury, or he's acquitted. I'm not one to promote violence, but not only will we see a revenge in this country of the murder of George Floyd, will also be a reckoning. I think it's coming.
I totally agree with you, brother. Yep. We sitting on top of a powder keg that's about to explode. And it's not going to be something that they can easily get under control.
As a community, what should we prepare for pending the outcome of this trial.
Disappointment.
So you think the outcome is going to be what?
Disappointing.
The cop's going to get off.
Perhaps.
Do you think
yes.
If you can name me the list of police officers that have been punished for this, I guarantee you, to my recollection, it is less than 5 in the last 25 years.
Do you think the prosecutor put on the best case possible?
I have no idea.
Did you watch it?
No.
I'd have to say yes. I think that the prosecutor did an outstanding job of presenting the case to demonstrate that that at this man's hands is the reason why that boy is dead right now. You know, they couldn't have done a better job with pointing that out with the presenting of this case. And no matter what type of spin moves the defense tried to put in place, I don't think it was strong enough. But one thing that we cannot overlook, he's still white and he's still a cop.
Well, we've seen what happened. Well, we've seen what happened, and I concur with what Dr. Ron just said. We've seen what happened over time with other cases where they don't do any time. Let's go back to, Fernando Castillo, for example. It also happened in Minnesota. Now, I remember I'm on my Facebook timeline just going through like anybody else, and someone tagged me to watch that thing unfold. And I watched it in real time. And I couldn't believe that the man, once again, is going for his wallet to show that he had a gun permit, and the guy unloads on him. Now, that officer did not serve any type of manslaughter charges, period. None. When I say the fix is in, when you're able to go by the book, whatever this book is, I've never personally seen it, but I just go by what I've seen in the news stories over the years. And we just said the clarion call. I fear for my life. That's usually the first thing they go to when an officer commits these crimes or commits a murder. Then they go to desk duty or they're taken off altogether pending an investigation. And then when that happens, they either disappear from the public eye, they still get their pension. See, all these things that were talked about behind the scenes. So like you said before, you have a license to kill with a lot of these people, with a lot of these officers. Breonna Taylor was shot, and the only officer charged in that was the officer that missed her. And if he would have hit her, he would have walked as well. Tamir Rice, Eric Gardner, I go on and on.
You know what's interesting?
Officers walk.
Yeah. And Jerry Andrews, one of our loyal viewers, brought up a good point. And I guess, and I'm not a lawyer, I guess you cannot bring up anything about this cop's history in this trial unless he takes the witness stand. Is that how that works?
Not sure, but Chauvin has a long history of doing horrible things on the job, including killing people.
He's killed before.
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't that be brought up in this trial?
Don't know the legal precedents for that, but my guess is that that's why he invoked, the non-incrimination amendment, the fifth.
Yeah, it's. One's history has some relevance. I think if
only the victims.
Yeah.
Only the victim's history seems to have relevance.
I know that's crazy. Well, I'm just, I'm really sick about everything that's happened. And it is just over the past few weeks, it seems like it's been intensified even more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I'm afraid that it's not going to get any better because the bad is out of the bag. It's just running rampant now. And I know Alfo, he's got. I wish we could get him in. Alfo, check your email.
Oh, Lee, you muted yourself.
If anybody else would like to join us, let us know in the chat room, and I can maybe get the link to you, because I think we need to let it out. Because if you don't let your frustration out, it may manifest itself in another way, and that might not be good.
Yeah. One thing Chris said earlier about the police unions, I think we neglected to emphasize the fact that, that's one of the most racist organizations in the country. When you have a police union that will make an open statement as soon as they hear about a shooting, it's justified. It's justified without any evidence, any facts, no type of investigation whatsoever. They're going to automatically stand with their representative or their member and say, oh, yes, it's a justified shooting, and these guys are represented in every police department across this country. And they might as well just wear Grand Dragon helmets and hoods or whatever they want to put on, because they openly about what they're doing, representing racism, and it's justified. Any shooting that they hear about is justified.
That's why we got to get a piece of that cop, that police department. We got to get pieces in the cities where we have a significant majority. We gotta get that power in that police department. That's why that information by Amos Wilson, the way he chronicles how the ethnic groups came into power in these different cities, man, that's something we need to tap in. We need to tap into, because in the city of Chicago, we knew that the police here in this town was run by the Irish. The entire city was ran by the Irish, dailies. So we gotta strategically think on that level, and stop leaving it into the rules and regulations of somebody else's house. We gotta take over the house so we can remake the rules. We gotta take over that house. We cannot in a decent and an honorable way through the political process. We cannot expect someone who has been running a particular house in a certain way for so many years to all of a sudden acquiesce and not want to continue to run the house for the benefit of people, because we all humans. No, we got to get that power. We have to get that power. We have to get it. We have to get that power. We can't depend on Mr. Charlie and his people no more. We got to get that power. We can't depend on nobody else now but ourselves, and getting that power, and then make changes within. Wherever we can get some political power, we got to get it and take it through the vote. That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do. It's not going to change as long. How you going to go back in? It's like you're never able to go to make rules if your parents own their house, you're not going back into their house and making no rules because you grown or because you're a human being. You ain't never doing that.
Not your house.
Yeah, you got to get your own house. So we got to get our own stand and with these police departments, and then put the right political people around it to make it happen. Y'all gotta read that Department of Justice report. It's public record. You got to read that, because look, that was one of the reasons why they buried that Laquan McDonald murder, because they brought out some of those little crazy things that the police do that was in there, that blue code or whatever it is. That's why Ron had to run for his life. They buried that, man, because that report set stuff out. So that let me know that you gotta get this power. And to run these police departments, we can't depend on no we out of world stuff from people. No, you got to get that power and then reestablish that stuff the way we want it done. Okay, we can, we can deal with this like till we, but without that power, cause them police are they're legal killers, legal robbers, burglars. They could take what they want from you and then kill you.
Professor.
Yes, sir.
Would you like to be a police officer?
No, absolutely not.
Why not?
Absolutely not.
Come on, I think you make a good cop.
No, absolutely not. Because me, all right, now if it was a little kid in my neighborhood, and he messed up, I would take him to his crib, to his mama. I would take him, look, hey, I would take him twice. And on the third time, and if he's still gonna mess up, you got to go in the pen, man.
You're gonna take him to jail, huh?
Yeah, you got to go.
I don't think that's a bad idea. I think that's a good idea. And,
you got to go.
I would take him home and confront the parents with this child and have a discussion and say, look, y'all gonna have to take care of this situation because I caught him in the act. He took a bag of potato chips, and here's the chips right here. Okay. And I talked to the store manager, and they said, I told them what I was gonna do, and they said, okay, do that. So I'm here. I want y'all to manage this situation. And what are you gonna do? Put them on Front Street. So what are you gonna do, mom and dad or uncle, whoever you are? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Well, okay, then fine. Now, if he gets in trouble again, I'm going to handle it a little different way. Now, y'all have a good evening.
Listen, I'm going to tell you.
And then I'll maybe even follow up with a phone call and say, yo, what's happening over there? Y'all got it under control? Because if I see little Johnny again, I'm going to take him downtown. Yeah.
He going down. And so,
wasn't that the principle behind Officer Friendly? Y'all remember that?
I don't remember that.
I mean, I heard that story, Officer Friendly, but that's like being empathetic or whatever. Cause some kids, some youngsters, when you're 13 and young like that, you doing dumb stuff.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get caught up in dumb stuff. Now,
and that doesn't mean you're gonna be a lifetime criminal.
Right. That's right.
I think we've all done some stupid shit when we were a kid.
And so if you can help that kid at that time, that's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
That's what you're supposed to do. But I'm not
Put him back in line.
I can want all I want for a Caucasian policeman to want to do that. But that cat, when he meets me at that time, he got to like me at that time. And if he don't like me at that time, this cat is going to go do the extreme to the other end.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to, in my growing up, I got to know that. That needs to be in my mind, so I won't be doing no dumb stuff. I won't be doing no dumb stuff and put myself in those situations. That's what my uncle told me. The name of the game is you ask for it, not what's my line. You don't do no dumb stuff, because if you do it and you get caught up, you have to accept those consequences. Listen, these young kids out here creating this mayhem and doing this stuff is because they living in these situations, and it's just, I'm going all the way back to what you said earlier, Dr. Bass, that, this is some intelligence and it's some of the things that you do. And this is not to discount what you said, Yoda, because I believe in what you said too. But there's got to be some honesty in the cribs, in the way we raising these kids. There has to be that level of honesty. You understand? It's not all their fault. It's not all our fault. But these kids are out here not believing there are any consequences with their actions. Okay, they go home and they do some crazy stuff, and they're not in a strong family situation where they don't have the village around them. So where this child gonna get checked? Mess around, and then one of the parents, if it's in a single parent, if it's a mother or the father, they going out and doing something else, leaving this child unattended. With all this crazy information out here, we got to make a greater investment in protecting our children and what they see and hear. Okay, we can't expect that they're going to learn to be good citizens and stuff like that, because they're going to always be challenged by their peers and friends to do some dumb stuff. So we got to protect them with some foundational information. I guess if that's what you want to say. Because look, I'm glad my dad told me about the how to respond to the police thing. My brothers told me the same thing, you know. My mother told me, don't get yourself in a situation. They would say, don't let your mouth get your butt in trouble. But butt was another word, you know. They would say things like that. So we can expect for this we out of world treat everything right. But these individual people gotta like you. And so if I were a cop, right, and I see this kid and I knew him and I know this kid is just doing, I'm taking this kid to the crib. If it happened again, I won't take it to the crib with a stronger warning. And the third time, this boy going to jail. You going to jail because you caught up. And so you got to pay the consequences for your action. We can't keep spoiling these kids and just let them be running amok with dumb stuff. Okay. Out here where it's affecting other people's lives, you know, there is some consequences to your actions. What is, for every action there's an equal and whatever reaction? What is that? We gotta put it down.
Equal and opposite.
Yeah, you gotta put it down. You gotta put that down.
Now, Jerry asked you a question in particular, Professor. He said,
"What if the kid
is packing?
What if the kid is packing?" Well, listen. Now, now in this new dimension of what kids are doing, okay, so this cat got this gun. He got to go. The name of the game is you ask for it. If this kid got this gun, you understand, and he's doing some dumb stuff, he gonna get killed. He gonna kill somebody or be killed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it ain't no. If you got that, you know you're gonna either get killed somebody or get killed, and so you're responsible for your own actions at that time. Cause I ain't carrying no gun, and I ain't making no excuse for no kid carrying no gun. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. So if this kid is carrying a gun, he got to go down. He got to go down. Okay, but like I say, we got to protect the kid from dude, what you picking up this gun for? What are you even being engaged with that? And we gotta talk to these people. We can't expect these kids to come up and be geniuses about what the world is about, because they being influenced and they subject to a lot of misinformation from all over everywhere, man. And we got to be vigilant about what our kids see and hear. We got to direct them and give them more information to read. Now, it's a shame that I had to wait until I got in my 40s before I found out who Amos Wilson was and John Henry Clark. You understand? See, they give us these regular people, all these other people, you know, George Washington, and tell us all this stuff, but some of the other people that I need to know to help me to grow spiritually as an individual, I get to be an old man and find these things out. You know, so the education, what our kids learn and all these stuff, you know, we have to be vigilant over what our youth see and hear. What they learn in school, we got to counterbalance that, put some stuff on the scale to help them out based on some of our experiences. You know, we can't expect, because the dominant society says all of this is right, that it's always right. You got people we just seen in this country that believed in disinformation, that an election was won. I mean, that election was won when a man lost. So we got to counter stuff like that. And we doing it here with Street News Now, but we got to have more strength in how we present this information. Look, our kids is just they're gone, man. They wearing their pants all below the belt. The young men, they're doing all this crazy stuff because market and all other kind of stuff has influenced them, and we haven't had enough sense to sit down and figure out ways to counter this, to balance it out. It's okay that you believe and you see that, but here, why don't you look at this? I remember growing up, we all had choices. But it's like now you ain't got no choices now. You got to like rap and hip hop. You can't like the R&B or something else or some other kind of. I remember coming up that I used to like Traffic and Osa Bisa, Grand Funk. I like different groups and stuff like that. But now today you only niched into one type of thing. That
you're an old rocker.
Yeah. I'm an old college head, man. I was digging what's his name, Steve Winwood and Traffic. And these cats, man, I was going crazy off of that, and stuff like Grand Funk Railroad, that 3-piece band that I thought was the greatest piece. They was doing some crazy to Jimi Hendrix with Billy Cox, and I'm digging some different type of stuff. But now these kids are just niched into one style. Oh, here, you just like this. It's no broad and stuff. So we got to add balance in how we present things to our youth. If we expect them to be better, we got to give them more to make better decisions with.
I agree with you. And let me welcome other colleague. Alpha is in the house like a child on punishment.
How's it going, fellas? How's everything?
Great, man. What you got to say tonight?
I can't disagree with anything you say, but this is something that from day one, Lee, the things that I have been rabid about, foaming at the mouth rabid, is the fact that politics is where you're looking, is where everyone should be looking, because you're talking about qualified immunity with these cops. It's called qualified immunity. And that gives them the license to kill. If you're into politics, you can eliminate this qualified immunity. But here's something that's very, very important. When Black people rose up in Georgia and gave 2 Senate seats to the Democratic Party, what happened? You got a white conservative in West Virginia, and you got a white, used to be a progressive in Colorado. They are there to save the Republicans' bacon, okay? And each and every step, Martin Luther King, he wanted equality, he wanted integration. And he fought year after year after year, struggle after struggle for integration. We got integration, and they had something to counter it. Every single move, they have something to counter it. When you talk about the city of Chicago here and the way the police operate, this qualified immunity extends to false police reports that they write. A cop write a false police report, he is supposed to be fired and sent to jail. The police unions are the buffer. The police unions are the hoodless Klansmen. And every police union across the country. And I don't understand one thing, and that's the messaging. We as people, every Black person that has been executed unarmed by the police officers should be front and center. Their face should be front and center. We must re-educate our youth. We must sound the alarm that we are being exterminated. One by one, we are being exterminated. And unless we fill our lives with politics, I know you go to work, you come home, you pay your bills, you're in a rut, you raise your kids, send them off to school, everything's supposed to be hunky-dory. No. At every move we make, they will counter that move. When we said defund the police, what did they do? They ran out with surrogates saying, Black Lives Matter want to get rid of the cops and take them off the street. We tried as an entity to say, no, that's not what we meant. But by that time, it was too late. By that time, it was a situation where they had seized the narrative. You have them now trying to seize the narrative of these vaccines. The Republican Party will spread misinformation, disinformation to sabotage the recovery of our economy and point to Biden and blame Biden. They called it a crisis on the border. Well, that's not a crisis. All of those kids have been there waiting on the other side. Joe Biden has no clue when it comes to messaging and pushing back. When somebody pulls his coat and says, you got to do this, then he'll go, oh yeah. And he'll do something half-assed. He won't come right out and do what he's supposed to do. When you get down to it, this infrastructure bill, why hasn't someone gotten on television and told Joe Manchin, if you don't fall in line, we are going to Blanche Lincoln you. And you simply let him know. Whether you vote for us now or not, we have to get rid of you. We got to get rid of you because you just don't understand. You are too deeply, you wade and waist deep in quicksand of white supremacy. And you don't want to disappoint the white folks.
Now, Alpha, let me ask you a question on that. The Joe Manchin guy in West Virginia. I don't understand. Well, I think I understand. He is very vocal, and he's positioned himself to be in a very powerful position from a chicken shit state like West Virginia. But the problem with the Democratic Party is, who do you run against him to take him out? Because that's the only way you're going to stop him. Right now, he's building critical mass and power because he is the ultimate blocker in anything that the Democrat / Biden wants to do.
And they will reward him because he is doing their bidding. What he understands, if you remember Blanche Lincoln, she's a senator from Arkansas. They ran a very strong they primaried her with a very strong candidate. This candidate came within 1 point of beating her in the state of Arkansas. And Blanche Lincoln won that primary. You don't see Blanche Lincoln as the senator of Arkansas, do you?
No.
Because the Democrats abandoned her. There were too many Democrats that voted for her, that kept her in her seat because she had a mixture of conservatives, moderate conservative Democrats, and Democrats. The Democrats abandoned her, and now she's somewhere being a lobbyist. The same must be said for Joe Manchin. We got Tom Cotton out of Arkansas as a result of the Blanche Lincoln episode. You're going to have to give up West Virginia. It's a blood red state anyway. Come back another day to try to win that seat. And at every turn in Georgia, when they took the 2 Senate seats, the 2 senators in Georgia, Republican, they were a lock until Black people rose up and got to the polls. And what did they do? They started a blitz across the entire country.
Yep.
47 states, 306 or 7 bills of voter suppression. If you don't play the long game with them, and you still got to play the short game too, you're in a no-win situation. They send out hundreds of surrogates to get their message across. Democrats send out nobody.
Now, with all of these bills that have been presented, and most of them are going to get passed, should that be a signal to any moderates and any sitting on the fence Democrats and even Republicans to see that these guys will change the rules when what they have been doing is no longer working? And changing the rules will come back to haunt you at a later date.
Well, see, it's a later date. When they took power and gerrymandered the hell out of the country in 2010, it was in response to Obama winning in 2008.
Yeah.
Obama wasn't strong enough to do his agenda. He had 59 senators. Harry Reid would not get rid of the filibuster.
Yeah.
Harry Reid was the Joe Manchin in 2009 for Obama. And you see, this is what I mean when I say Republicans fall in line, Democrats fall in love. And you have to understand things about the politics of it. And I know that's what I talk about. Chris will tell you. That's all I talk about. The hip hop, love, and hip hop and all of that situation, that's fine. I'll be quiet. Pretty girls, they come and go. They're a dime a dozen. Here's a nickel. Bring me 6.
Yeah. Now, I love your analogy, your point of view on politics. It's so common sense and so pointed, and it stimulates my thought, and it puts a lot of light on what's really going on, and a lot of people are not talking about it, especially in mainstream, so-called mainstream media. So, your voice is very important. That's why, whenever I see you out there, I want to bring you in, because you bring a perspective in that a lot of people are not hearing. It's no conspiracy theory. It's straight up common sense and good analogy about what's really going on. And it's not being presented anywhere else. So thank you for your voice. It's very important.
And I'd say one last thing, Lee. On the police, the tone is de-escalation. That's what they don't do with Black people.
Yeah.
They don't de-escalate a situation. A white man can start fighting them and beat up 6 or 7 of them. And then they'll all tackle him, get him down, and a Black man, they'll shoot him and kill him.
That's right.
That's why we have been so demonized and vilified from the press. At every venue, everywhere you turn, that's what the situation is.
How do we change
that? How do you do what?
How do we change it?
You change it with messaging. the 4 or 5 of us sitting here, 6 of us sitting here, we have that message. You guys have a bigger microphone than I do. But my broadcasts, I say the truth must be spoken more than once, because misinformation, disinformation, and damnable lies are repeated ad nauseum. And you have enough people telling the same lies over and over. How many times is Trump going to get away with, I won, I won? And they still want him, people are still inviting him. He can call in to Fox News anytime. There should be a movement to get rid of, have their license suspended. Fox News is not allowed in Canada, Australia, and parts of Europe. Fox News is not allowed. And this is a very shaky time for democracy around the world, not just here in the United States. And if we don't answer that call, they will take democracy away and replace it with Herrenvolt, Herrenvolt. It's a German, it's from German. It's a Nazi word meaning they are simply better than everybody else. And that's what they'll do. That's what they are doing. So, hey, how come, when I believe I'm talking with you and Chris, I signify and I do everything, the professor and all you other guys. I don't know y'all well, but I'm gonna say it like this: I don't mind joining 4 bald heads and a half head.
Let's not get personal now. Come on.
It's too late.
No. It's not personal. It's not personal.
What they say, if you can't say amen, say ouch.
Okay.
That's good. Oh, that's good, man. See, that's that curveball you wasn't expecting.
Yeah, this was chin music right up under the chin. Chin music. And my man Chris here, both of us are here in Chicago, and I really worry about running into him in the streets because he's liable to jump on me. But he's always been a good sport, always.
Yeah. Oh, good sport. Well, Dr. Ron's there in Chicago as well.
Yeah,
he's in the suburbs.
I'm where the deer and the antelope run free.
No, they don't. They don't run free. They get on somebody's dinner table.
End up being barbecued, man.
Yeah, well,
right.
Yeah, they ain't getting enough of them. They maybe getting a few road kills along the way, but they ain't hunting them like they need to. Yeah.
Yeah, what we having for dinner, Bambi?
Bambi.
Yep. There you go.
Now, Alpha, let me ask you, what's going to be the outcome of this trial?
The trial, Chauvin is going to be found guilty. You see, there are sacrificial lambs that they must appease us with. Chauvin is one of them. This woman who can't tell the difference between a Glock and a taser, they'll find her guilty of second-degree manslaughter, and she might get a suspended sentence. But either way, it shakes out.
Because she was a good girl for 26 years. Huh?
All of these murders, and that's exactly what they are. We must be able to narrate that police departments came from slave patrols. We must be able to point out that most of the people that came up and raided the Capitol are former or current police, Navy SEALs, military. You give them a name, and you now watch the judges go easy on them when the cases come up. Every one of them should be locked up. If you don't have enough jail cells, build another jail and bring other people to that jail and send them into gin pot. But this is a critical moment in the history of this country. We are about to lose our democracy. You got people out there that would have completed the coup. People like Chris Christie, people like Jim Jordan. All of these people are very, very dangerous because they're smarter than Donald Trump. They're very, if they're, Donald Trump is a good crook. Donald Trump is a good crook, but that's all. He's not a good politician. Yeah. They say he wants credit for the vaccine. Well, take credit for the 500,000 people you killed with your lie.
Amen. What was that? Was it a congressional member today giving Fauci a hard time?
That's Jim Jordan.
Jim Jordan, yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, Jim Jordan, the boy named Collins, I think he's out of Georgia. They are great prosecutors. If they're ever prosecuting you for a crime, you better be sharp. You better be on your toes, because they are rapid fire prosecutors. Yeah. And your boy Matt Gaetz, he's toast. He's toast. So? Oh, he's toast. Now that they got his phone,
even Trump won't take his call.
They got his phone too.
Yeah.
He's toast.
Why won't the Republican Party just go in and have a meeting with him? Say, hey, man, you're gonna have to walk away from this one and go ahead and resign.
Well, Matt Gaetz, and he's a Trumper. That's what Donald Trump has a vice grip on the Republican Party. They are so afraid of him because he brings all the clowns, all the good old boys. You could get 1,000 of them in one cathedral, and you couldn't find a good set of teeth. That's who they are. Their ignorance is off the chain.
It is. It's scary. Do you think he really got 74 million votes?
Yes. And that's why I say the democracy is in trouble. He got 74 million votes. Joe Biden got 81 million votes. And unless Joe Biden does something to rally the troops with his agenda, that means infrastructure through HR 1 and HR 4 are the essential things. Those three bills. If he don't do another damn thing, let me put it like this. He don't have to do a damn thing about guns. He don't have to do a damn thing about immigration. If he can pass HR 1, HR 4, and the infrastructure bill, we can do the rest with immigration and everything else, climate change, all of it. Republicans would just go down screaming. One of the positive things, they are talking now about adding 4 more seats to the Supreme Court. You add 4 seats to the Supreme Court, it becomes irrelevant who dies and who lives.
Well, that depends on who's the president and how many people,
At that point, it'll be, you add 4 more seats. Okay, there are 13. That's a 7-6 advantage for Democrats. And Democrats have to stop being so weaselly. If they're playing hardball with you. The judges, the federal judges that they've put in lifetime positions are young and dumb. They have tried cases. They are unqualified according to the legal magazine.
Yeah. But see, it doesn't matter because they're young, and which means they'll be sitting there for 30 years or better.
And that's what I'm saying.
And that in itself is criminal, and it just really messes up our justice system because they're going to be lockstep in whatever the boss says.
And Lee, when they say Democrats are going to pack the courts, all Democrats have to say is no. We're going to balance the courts. They should be in the face of our Supreme Court Justice Roberts and pointing to the 47 states and 306 bills and asking Roberts, racism is over? Gerrymandering is over? Pre-clearance is needed. That's why HR 4 is so important. HR 1 is so important. That's why those two bills, along with the infrastructure, are mandatory.
And the public needs to get behind this. I get emails every day, text messages every day on both of those measures, and I'm in support of it. I'll make donations, and that's what we need to do. We need to support these bills and make sure that we contact our congressional members and let them know that this is what we want. Don't be silent. Don't assume anything.
Well, Lee, every one of those bills has a more than 60% polling. They're polling more than 60%. And Democrats are so afraid of what a Republican is going to say. Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, and all of those right-wing disinformation people are doing nothing but passing on Russian propaganda. Damn, y'all old and sleep or what?
No.
No, we're still here. Yeah. Look, good stuff. That's all I can say. Yeah.
Well,
what it is what it is what it is,
I'm just a old boy who like to talk, that's all.
Yeah. And the record reflects that. But
I ain't want no elections.
Yeah, we got a lot of work ahead of us. That's the bottom line. Change is not going to be easy. Because the strongholds that we're fighting against are just that. They are a stronghold. And they've been in power and they've been doing what they wanted to do for so long. They really feel like they're invincible. But something has got to change. We can't keep allowing them to misuse us and not stand up, to make a change. We got to stand up, plain and simple.
And I'll tell you like this, I'm not a big church goer. The last thing I cut was a class. Before that, the last thing I cut was church. And that was in the 7th grade. Religion is the biggest albatross around our necks. We have accepted the religion of our oppressors. Now, as we have accepted this religion, you're talking about a strong base that we fight against. And religion is one of them. There's no place in this country that goes all out for religion. The only other places more out there on religion is Islam, where if you say something about Muhammad, is that their God, Muhammad? They'll kill you. And I'm like, what's up with that? Y'all can't take a joke?
No, they have no sense of humor. You know, one
But
thing I can say.
Religion is a big one.
Yep. Sex, religion, and rock and roll.
Politics.
And politics. Yep.
Politics. I truly believe that politics is simply the melting together of minds. And if someone came in right now, they were conservative, and they could tell me and talk to me in a way that makes me become a Republican, I'll do that. But they can't, because they're not for the people.
No. And anybody that thinks that the Republican Party is for you, then you're confused in your thoughts, because I always ask, well, what has the Republican Party done to improve your life? And generally they come up with some messaging that they heard on Fox or one of these talk shows.
They let something trickle down on my forehead.
Mm-hmm.
Until it's raining.
Exactly.
Gotta tap this kidney, fellas.
Yeah.
Now, Alpha, before you roll off into the sunset, looks like.
Yeah, he gone. He just booked, right? He just turned the corner. That was it. Like, yeah,
watch
see
my
y'all.
smoke.
What are you still doing? Are you still doing your blog talk show?
Yeah, I'll be on tomorrow night.
What time?
10 o'clock Eastern. On TruthWorks Network, the Alpha Show.
Okay. And that's 10 p.m.?
10 p.m.
Okay.
I rarely have any guests because I just run off and talk too much.
So you don't need a guest, right? You can handle it by yourself.
Only 2 weeks ago, I put myself to sleep, You
talk yourself to sleep.
I talk myself to sleep. I have the people calling in. I got the Arondes, the Bebos, and Bebo and Jay. Aronde just come up out of 10 years gone. And
right.
He just come back here from Hawaii.
That's right.
He called me last week.
Yeah, he called me. He called me a few days ago on my phone, and I haven't had a chance to get back to him. But yeah, he's back in Florida now.
Well,
Bebo, I haven't heard from him. Bebo's still around.
He goes by the name Jay, and he can't hide because he talks like he got a mouth of excrement.
Have you heard from Captain America? Do you remember him?
No, I have not heard from him.
Okay, yeah, he called into this show about a couple months ago, I guess it's been a month or so ago. But he's back. He was in San Diego for a while, and I think he's back in North Carolina. But he used to live down there in Florida when we were doing U.S. Talk Network. Yeah, man. So it's good to see you again, Alpha, and don't be a stranger. I know you always have something to say.
I got to remember it's Thursday sometimes,
Yeah.
What the hell?
We'll have to put you on the wake up list. Wake you up.
Oh, yeah, I got my donut on my neck. I woke up and damn near couldn't get up.
Well, it's always good to see Alpha and Alpha. Thank you so much for your insight. And just let everybody know, I want you to turn around and do that 2 miles an hour. Everybody can see you. That was gangster, Doc. I was like, hey, I'm out, peace, 2 fingers.
I'm going to tell y'all like this. I got this hover around through Medicare, and I'm on speed number 1. This thing goes up to 5 speeds. It's 5 speeds.
Really?
I got a seatbelt in this mother. When I go outside my house, go down my ramp, and when I get down the ramp on the sidewalk, I put it in 3, not in 5, in 3. And when I take off, my head goes.
You gonna get some 5-inch rims too?
Right.
Man, I'm scared to go in 5 because I'm sitting on the seatbelt. Shit.
Well, now, Alpha, how fast will that thing go? Will it go, what, 15 miles an hour?
I can't tell you because I ain't never been fast like that. I just got the ramp built in front of my house, and I go down the ramp to the corner. I'm the second house from the corner. I go down the ramp to the corner to the alleyway into my garage, up through my garage, and back on the patio.
That's it.
And come back in the house. I had to come the same way.
Wow.
Well, don't tear up no cars while you're out there.
Yeah, man, I'm tearing up my goddamn door jams and shit. I got gouges in my walls. But I'm only speed 1. Only
on the first gear.
You better get you some liability insurance so when they come after you, you can be like, okay, here's my insurance card. I ain't got no driver's license, but here's my insurance card.
But that's another thing. You're right. I don't have a driver's license. I haven't driven a car in 5 years, 6 years. In 6 years.
But you used to drive basically for a living, right?
I used to drive for a living.
Right.
And it's like I tell the joke, when I leave my house, my truck would only turn right. And that means it would go toward Cicero and Pulaski and Kedzie. I wasn't turning left going toward Ashland and Halsted and Carpenter and Racine. And they asked me why. I said, because when I get out of my truck, I don't feel like looking out the window to see if somebody's breaking into it or stealing something out of. No, and that's where we are. That's where we are in our neighborhood. And 8 years ago, I would use this analogy. When you hear people talk about the Black community, those are the people with a thermostat telling you the temperature in the community. I want to know those are people with a thermometer telling you the temperature of the community. I want to know who's setting that temperature with that thermostat. And that's what we should be trying to dig into.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got so much wisdom and stimulating thought, and the way you bring it is just refreshing, quite honestly. So keep up the good work, man.
Yes, sir.
I learned in high school, if I can get somebody to listen to me, I'm all right. When I start talking, if I can get people to listen, I'm all right. And that's been true most of my life.
Yeah.
Like I said, nature calls.
All right, there you go, y'all.
Hey, bye-bye.
It didn't turn the corner.
Yeah. That's Alpha, ladies and gentlemen. You can catch him on Blog Talk Radio tomorrow night at 10 p.m. That's Central Time. So give him a listen. Check him out. He's always got something to say. Thanks again, Alpha, for coming in tonight. That's really good. So what else you got anything else on the plate tonight?
Well, I'd like to share that my interview with Dr. Ron Ford is on patreon.com/thepersistentrumor as we speak. And it's a doozy.
All right.
Yeah.
Can you put the link in the chat room? Is that possible?
I suppose I could.
Yeah, put that in there.
Figure out how to do that.
Copy and paste.
It's very interesting. I half the stuff I didn't even know I realized I had said.
Uh-oh.
That's dangerous.
Hurry up and let's go to the green room. Hurry up, let's go to the green room.
Chocolate Yoda got all that information out of me. I was talking about stuff I had did and all that kind of good
Oh
stuff.
wow. You drank the truth serum, huh?
Yeah, I felt
Put in Pentothal.
And just so you know, we were talking about men, women, sexuality, strategy, relationship stuff. It was pretty interesting, and it's one of several. We're probably going to do at least 4.
That sounds deep.
Good stuff. Yeah, good stuff.
All
There
right.
you go. There go the professor, y'all.
You got red beans and rice laughing.
Uh-oh.
Oh man, see when y'all start getting into that deep stuff, man, I got to go and watch the cartoon. Yep. Good stuff, y'all. I think we hit on a lot of good stuff tonight. I think that if we keep doing what we know to do, you know, people are listening and people will hear what we say, and it will affect some folks. It ain't gonna affect everybody, but it will affect some folks. Just one or two. Just one or two. I'm good with that. Cause it don't take a big snowfall to cause the avalanche.
That's true.
Yeah, I just posted your link in there. It looks like on Facebook it won't. Actually, one moment we'll try. An error occurred on Facebook. Facebook, y'all need to get your shit together, man. Stop that. Come on. It's a link.
It popped up. It popped up. It's there.
It is there? Okay.
Yeah, I see it on the Street News Now, Facebook Live. It's on there.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm getting an error that says having trouble connecting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Please check your internet connection.
Yeah.
Well, all right, guys. Well, you guys want to wrap it here? You want to?
Yeah, I think 2.5 hours is solid.
Has it been that long?
Yes, man. Yes.
Man, you cats got deep.
Yeah.
We went one nation under a group.
Yeah.
Getting down just for the funk of it.
And I'm telling you, boy, Reggie didn't got a chance to name every book he didn't read in 5th grade.
No, I didn't know. That was in the 5th grade in the grown people life. Now, I didn't know nothing about no Amos Wilson, man. They didn't teach me that in school. Do you know if they had let me get hold to that boy, I'd be worse than I am now?
I know that's right, brother.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, folks, for checking us out tonight. It is called Street News Now. 5 Guys and You, Thursday nights. At the same time, 8 p.m. Central. And don't be late. Don't be late. And tell a friend. Share this show out to all your friends and even the people you don't like. Those are the ones we need to save anyway.
There you go.
Blessings to all of you. Thank you again for joining us. It is Street News Now, 8 p.m. Central Time every Thursday night. Even if I'm not here, the show is on.
Yes.
So thank you again. God bless you. Be safe. And we be gone.